Do women have to lift heavy to see results? Will we see the same benefits from lifting light weights? If I'm lifting heavy weights, will it make me look bulkier than I want to appear? And what do age and hormones have to do with the type of strength training that I should be doing? Well, we're going to answer all of that and more with a little exercise science. But first, I want to tell you a little story. So several weeks ago, I was scrolling through the rabbit hole of social media, and every other post was about creatine. It's a supplement. Your body makes 50% of creatine. You get the other 50% from food. But I was led to believe on social media that if I wasn't taking that specific creatine supplement, that I would never see results. So I've actually done an entire show with our registered dietitian on creatine supplements, protein supplements, who needs them, how do you know you need them? And that's another show for another day. But the whole reason I bring it up is, oh my gosh, I was led to believe like, if I am not taking creatine supplements, then I'm never gonna see results. The same thing happens when you click on, say, a bar workout or a Pilates workout. You're led to believe that the only way you see results is the light lifts, right? Or if you clicked on a heavier lift post, then feed after feed is going to tell you that that's the only way to see results. So let's get down to the exercise science. How do I see results? Do I have to lift heavy? Do I have to lift light? If my goal is body composition and recomposition where I'm reducing fat, but I'm also preserving and increasing muscle. So important as we age because we are losing muscle. How do I see those results? So when I see results, that's what I'm talking about is better body composition, reduced fat, better muscle, and then at the same time, you're losing inches because muscle is smaller and more dense than fat. It's about being strong. It's about seeing shape in your muscles. Those are the results I'm talking about, just feeling good overall. You are not adding new muscle fibers when you are doing strength training. You're working with what your body gave you at birth. So those millions of muscle fibers have a lot of potential. Now, a light lift typically involves using a weight that allows for 12 to 20 repetitions of a set. And at the end of that set, you're getting close to fatigue. Lifting heavy usually involves 8 to 12 repetitions, but you're lifting a heavier dumbbell. So it actually might take the same amount of time because if you're lifting lighter, you can go at a faster pace than if you're lifting heavy, but the same key factor that at the end of your set, you get into those what I call effective reps where they are challenging. You're close to muscle failure. You could do a few more reps and then you couldn't do any more with good form. Whether you lift light or whether you lift heavy, that is where the change happens. That is key to lifting. Now, multiple studies, which I've actually listed in the show notes, have reproduced the same conclusion over and over again. High repetitions with lighter weight, around 30% of your 1 rep max, which I'll explain in a minute, and lower reps, which is about 70 to 80% of your 1 rep max, are equally effective in increasing and preserving muscle. So again, you're not adding new muscle fibers. You've got those muscle fibers from birth. And then what you do with those millions of muscle fibers, they grow, they shrink, or they stay where they are in a preservation. But if you're preserving, you got to use it or you lose it, right? Then you get into the atrophy. So 1 rep max, what that is it's a tool the exercise science world, fitness world uses. It's a tool for how heavy you can lift. So we'll use a biceps curl, for example. Your 1 rep max or your 1 RM is the heaviest dumbbell that you can curl for 1 repetition without compromising form. So compromising form means, okay, I'm going to swing or I'm going to sway my back or I'm using other muscle groups other than my biceps to make it happen. That's how you get to your 1 rep max. Now, you don't have to live by the exercise science. You don't have to use your 1 rep max. If you are getting into those effective reps at the end of a set, you're going to see change. And I find that it's highly individualized and it's going to be your preference, whether you lift heavy or whether you lift light. Now, I've shared that exercise science, the research shows that you can get the same benefits. But I'm also going to tell you, after being in this field for 20 years, what I've seen, and with our focus groups of over 1,000 women, is that especially as you age and your hormones are declining, which in turn makes your muscle mass decline, your metabolism declines, all of that. Where we see the most benefit in our focus groups is heavy lifts. Now you can combine those heavy lifts, like a couple days a week, you do some heavier traditional strength training, and then you combine that with a day of bar and Pilates. Those complement each other so well. But to really move the needle and get that body composition, especially as we age, some heavy lifts are going to be super beneficial. Now, I keep talking about hormones. Let's talk about hormones and why you should be lifting, especially after the age of 35. Hormones play a big role. After 35, we are consistently losing muscle unless we are using it. Again, here we go. We got to use it or lose it. To offset this and the declining metabolism that comes with it, we must strength train. Now, your strength training and your exercise routine is probably going to look different than it did in your 20s. It probably should look different than it did in your 20s or maybe in your 30s. Because when you're in your 20s, you generally have a faster recovery rate and can adapt more quickly to strength training stimuli thanks to those peak levels of hormones. So this is why I would schedule a strength training program different for my 16-year-old daughter or for my 25-year-old niece than I would for myself, who's 45. In your 40s, especially when you're in perimenopause, and perimenopause is anywhere from about 10 years before menopause, hormonal changes can impact your strength ability and results. So strength training and a protein-rich diet can help offset this decline in your muscle. So here's how these shifts may affect you after the age of 40. You've got your declining estrogen and progesterone levels. These play a key role in muscle recovery and repair. As these levels gradually decline in perimenopause, muscle recovery may slow, making it more challenging to bounce back after intense workouts. Also, increased fat storage, and maybe the fat is storing in a different place than it used to. The lower testosterone levels, this is directly correlated to muscle. Testosterone is crucial for muscle protein synthesis. This decrease in testosterone can make it slightly harder to build and or maintain muscle. So strength training is essential to counteract this effect. This is also the reason that lifting heavy weights won't necessarily give you that bulky appearance as long as you're using good exercise selection. And then cortisol. It's another buzzword on social media, right? Fluctuating cortisol levels. With age and perimenopause, stress responses can become more pronounced, leading to higher cortisol levels. Elevated cortisol can contribute to muscle breakdown and hinder fat loss. Managing stress and incorporating activities that optimize your nervous system, such as low-intensity cardio like walking and breathing, will really help offset these fluctuating cortisol levels. So you've got to be strength training. Heavy lifts are key, but you can also pair heavy lifts with lighter lifts because this strength training is going to help your hormones, it's going to help your bone health, it's bettering your metabolism, and it just overall enhances the quality of life. If you're in your 30s or in your 40s or experiencing some symptoms of perimenopause and menopause, there are 5 priorities that I want to give to you when you're adding lifting and strength training to your routine. Number 1 is exercise selection. So exercise selection, what types of exercises should I be doing? You have isolation exercises. These are also known as single joint exercises. The best example I can give is a biceps curl. You are isolating just the bicep. Isolation exercises are great because you generally can add that load relatively easy. And once you load a muscle past its previous condition, that's how you see change. That's how you preserve muscle. That's also how you grow muscle fibers. So isolation exercises are really quick and to the point, if you ask me. Compound exercises or single joint exercises, the best examples of these are lunges or squats. You're using multiple joints and using multiple muscles to make the muscle action happen. These are great because they work balance and coordination. So you want to do both types of exercises. Isolation, they load that muscle pretty quickly. And then compound exercises, not only do they help load the muscle, but they also help that balance, coordination, functional activities. Both are going to help your bone health. Number 2, When you're lifting, how many days a week should you be lifting? I wish I could just give you a general guideline, do it this many days, but your goals and your age are going to define how many days a week you should be lifting. So if you're looking for better body composition, which is fat loss and an increase in lean tissue, and you're on a time budget, I'm going to tell you 3 times a week, 30 to 35 minute strength training workouts, and then daily walking. 2 weeks, you will never want to quit. Now, we've all been led to believe, again, if we're in the social media echo chamber, that we have to work out. We have to strength train 5 days a week to see results. And I am here to tell you that that is simply not true. And it's really hard to stay consistent that way. So how many days a week, goals, age, how you can be consistent. So as we've discussed, age plays a big role because as our testosterone levels decline, I'm 45. My testosterone levels have not started to decline. Progesterone and estrogen, they have. But so far, testosterone has not. So as of right now, I strength train 2 or 3 days a week, and it works for me. But as I get further into perimenopause, as I get into menopause, I might have to change that, right? I might need to strength train 4 days a week to keep muscle preservation and growth. Now, we're all on time budgets, right? We all have things to do. We've got kids to take care of, places to go. So when you are deciding how many days a week, I want you to also remember that cardio has to be a part of your routine. I went over this in another show about all of the studies behind strength training and aerobic or cardio training. And what the research shows is that if you are strength training, solely strength training, you're not going to see a lot of fat loss. You're going to see a lot of muscle gains, but not a lot of fat loss. So to get that body composition, you've got to do the strength training and you've got to do the aerobic or the cardio, also known as walking and daily steps. You don't have to overcomplicate it. So how many days a week depends on your time budget, what you can stay consistent with, and then age. Keep that in mind. As you age, you're probably going to need more strength training. Number 3, include recovery. Oh, this is so important. And I don't want you to mistake recovery for sedentary. So first of all, your muscles need 36 to 48 hours of recovery before you work them again. So you never want to work one muscle group 2 days in a row. But then recovery days are also really important. In our weekly schedule, the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, are recovery days. And during recovery days, you want to do activity that doesn't spike your heart rate because this encourages full recovery rather than continuing to deplete energy and muscle resources. Number 4, managing your stress and including low intensity cardio. Regular low intensity activities like walking can balance your nervous system and reduce cortisol. Remember how we talked about cortisol earlier? Cortisol isn't necessarily a bad hormone, but it's bad when it's chronically high. So here's the thing about cortisol. When you do extended cardio sessions, this can lead to increased cortisol. While short-term cortisol boosts can help with energy and endurance, excessive cortisol may lead to muscle breakdown and increased fat storage if not balanced with recovery. So this is your permission slip to stop all the high cardio workouts and replace it with walking. Now, I'm not saying you have to get rid of those hard cardio workouts. Some of us really enjoy them. Some of us see benefits from doing those high cardio workouts. So if you are doing the high cardio workouts, I recommend that you limit those high cardio workouts to 2 times a week. And number 5, nutrition. It plays a crucial role in muscle growth. Prioritize protein intake, healthy fats, and nutrient-rich foods to support that muscle repair and those energy levels. In our focus groups, our registered dietitian reads food journals. This is 3 or 4 days of what you eat on any given day. And at this point, she's read nearly 1,000 food journals in the last year or 2. And what she consistently sees is that most of us are getting enough protein, but we're not getting enough produce. Those are your fruits and your vegetables, and those are full of antioxidants, vitamins, minerals, fiber. They go and soak up all the free radicals that just kind of happen in what we consume and through everyday life. So while you need to prioritize protein, Don't forget about the produce. Let's finish up with our expectations about results. Maybe you're new to exercise. Maybe you're new to strength training. Maybe you've hit a plateau and you've been doing it for a while and you don't know what to do. So let's set up what our expectations should be. So beginners, we call this the beginner's boost. In the first few weeks of a strength training program, strength gains are primarily due to neural adaptations rather than an increase in muscle. The nervous system becomes more efficient at recruiting muscle fibers. Fat is lost, energy is lifted. You're seeing a lot of results in those first 2 to 4 weeks. But to see continued gains, preserving muscle, increasing muscle, to continue seeing fat loss, you got to be in it for the long haul. We are in it for the longevity, right? As we get older, I think we finally realize that. Like, this isn't just about aesthetics. I am in this for the long haul. I want good bone health. I want a better metabolism. I want to feel good. So now let's talk about, maybe you've been at it for a while and you're frustrated because you've hit a plateau. Maybe you need to make some adjustments to those things that I was talking about, those 5 priorities, making adjustments to your cardio, to your nutrition, to your exercise selection, things like that. Also keep in mind that after you've been at it for a while, your results are going to slow. They're just going to slow. Okay. So expect to see significant changes over the course of 8 to 12 weeks, especially as you continue in a strength training program. And if you need help, I've got you. Every week in our weekly schedule, we upload brand new workouts, and we have several different options to choose from. I recommend that everybody start with our 3 times a week schedule. In that schedule, we do 3 days, 30-minute to 35-minute strength training days. Most of those are heavy lifts combined with a few lighter lifts, and then you add your daily steps and your daily walking. 2 weeks of that, and I promise you will never want to quit. Now, if you've been at it for a while and you need to adjust a few different things in maybe your current routine, we have several different weekly schedules to choose from. We have 2 lifts, 2 bar days. We have 4 lifting days and 2 cardio hit days. And it is highly individualized. Mostly what you enjoy is how you're going to see results. How you can stay consistent is how you're going to see results. But start with those 3 days of strength training, add your daily steps, and then go from there. Now, I've linked all of the research in the show notes, and I've also put a link to try out our weekly schedule for free.